we had to deal with a lot of these slum fires, and based on the kind of structures that they dwell in and have their economic activities, these are combustible materials.
Slums, like Old Fadama, remain especially vulnerable to service delivery gaps and are often excluded from broader urban planning initiatives. Residents face limited access to healthcare, education, job opportunities, and safe infrastructure.
When you are going to somewhere to find a job, you will not get. They say, oh, Fadama, it be criminal people there, but not the criminal.
According to the Ghana Statistical Service, 46.1% of urban households in Ghana live in slum conditions, defined by poor housing, overcrowding, inadequate sanitation, and limited access to clean water. In total, 30.8% of Ghana's urban population is affected, nearly 1 in every 3 urban dwellers.
Imagine 50 people living in this room. Yes, that is the fate of Kayayis here in Old Fadama. Many living in enclosed areas or in enclosed rooms like this one. How do they manage to survive? So, King Banjira la anewane.
Banjira, tunchano to banja tabashela. Banja tamarinyela tabodma. Tabod dare. Dejo tabod darma tiche. Soko enyamapa. Banja tabasogi. Ka Adam de nimane she duro mbalama. Janto kuche. Kabanya harto doya. Kachere na kayina. Malaria mbalama. Desa hanyela to shower and paladon jela sanctity.
In an interview with ChannelOne News, Mohammed Karim, branch chairman of Old Fadama, revealed that the community has battled long-standing issues for 39 years.
We don't have any government hospital here. The drugstores are attend to the hospital here for us. The drugstore who have the former shop, if they then turn the hospital here. All of that all is this will be affected. Somebody sick, you take every rasta. Now I'm talking. If you are from here, you hold health insurance. When you go to hospital and you know that you are coming here, your health insurance will be netting. You see, baby, then they work like that. Like the school there, you will not see any children. You will not see any child here. But because of the paying the school fees, no money.
I'm here at Old Fadama, one of Ghana's popular slums where over 2,000 residents live without consistent access to clean water, hospitals, schools, and electricity. Despite repeated promises from politicians, especially during election year, basic infrastructure remains out of reach. For ChannelOne News, I am Patricia Boateng.
And I am Manuel Ayama.
And that report, very, very well, couched report, put together report by Manuel and Patricia.
I am Jude Duncan.
Please, don't come and put yourself inside.
How to tap in.
Don't come and put yourself inside. Manuel joins us to talk about this report that he and Patricia did. Unfortunately, Patricia is unable to join us. You're welcome to Sunday Breakfast.
Thank you very much.
Your first time.
Yes.
You were on Voice Factory.
Yes, I was on Voice Factory.
How was the experience?
It was a learning one. I was still discovering myself. I had a potential, so I wanted to explore it. And I think I did my very best. Yeah.
So you've put singing aside to do reporting?
Not aside. I still sing, but for now I'm focusing on journalism.
Okay. Yeah. We like it. We like it. So you did a report previously before this one. Tell us about that one, because that one led to the slum report, no?
Okay, so that report was on the Ghana Islamic School being close to a slum. So they share boundary with a slum. And the school was complaining that the activities of the slum is one or the other influencing the students. But on this particular one, it was on the back of the
GSS
the Ghana Statistical Service report. Yeah.
What piqued your interest? I know you mentioned the report. 30.8% of Ghanaians live in slum. That's the national average, or the average on the continent is about 53. So it's still significantly lower. Yeah. But what beyond the report, what piqued your interest in going there to interact with them, to understand their conditions they live in.
So, these are just statistics. When you put them out there like that, people find it difficult to understand. So when you hit the ground and you tell the stories, you bring the realities to life, then they know that, oh yes, it's really happening. Because when you just say over 4 million people are being affected or 4 million people are living in slums or are facing slum conditions, people just see them as numbers.
Yeah.
But when you hit the ground, you tell the stories, you bring it to life, the basic facilities or amenities they lack, you tell all those stories, then our authorities get to see, and then hopefully you make an impact. So that was what I and Patricia tried to do, and I hope we made an impact. Yeah.
So when you hit the ground, what describe the situation that they live in, the conditions that they live. Do they even have a hospital or a CHIPS compound?
So we chose Old Fadama, and entering into the community was an eyesore. But what stood out for me was this enclosed room. It had no outlets or windows. Oh, wow. And I was being told that 50 people live in there. 50 Kayayes live in there.
Is it a big space? Is it as big as our set?
No. It's like our set's being portioned into 4. So one section of it is where 50 people are living.
No windows, just a door.
So you can imagine. And so I got to interact with one of the Kayayes who told me that they don't have any basic facilities to rely on. They don't have toilets or bath facilities. And it's like they've been neglected, sort of. When it comes to the national resources or planning for, citizens in Ghana, you hardly hear of the slums being added to any national plan. You get me? And so you go there and they tell you they have no schools, they have no hospitals, sanitation there is very poor. And the man told me, one of the branch chairman told me that even if they have their NHIS card and they send it to the hospital, the way they are being treated, it looks as though they are not citizens of the country. And so you see neglect, you see inequalities, you see delivery gaps,
But just a year ago, in May 2024, in the previous administration, they launched the Kayaye Empowerment Training Center, which was big, right? Because we were told that they could still do their head porting business and also learn other skills. In your interaction with these head porters who live in these slums, they did come up the fact that government in the previous administration, instituted a training center to help them, some of them even with their accommodation and stuff.
So some benefited from it, but for others, they keep coming back. And so for them to be able to get access to these benefits, it's, for lack of a better word, let me say the whole thing is one way or the other politicized. Yeah. It's either you know someone, for someone to help you get there. If not, then you're on your own.
But you know, even if it's still running,
well,
you can't tell.
I can't even.
Where did they migrate from, most of these people who live in these slums?
So most of them are from the northern part of our country. So you can speak of the northern region, Upper East, Savannah, and then they come down here to make ends meet.
I see. And who gave them, authority over the lands that they're living in now? Or when they got to Accra, maybe my cousin or my sister or a friend lives here, so let me go and join. Is that what's going on in these slums?
So it's more or less like a Muslim community. And the branch chairman told me that they've been living there for over...
They have a branch chairman?
Yes.
Okay.
For the slum?
Yes.
Oh.
There are different slums in Old Fadama.
Okay.
So a branch chairman is who I spoke to. So he told me that they've been living there for over 50 years.
Wow.
Yes. So as to, I can't really tell who the land belongs to, but I can just guess that maybe it's for the state. Yes. So they've been living there for over 50 years, and it's a Muslim community. And so when they come up from the north and they go to a place like that, it becomes easy for them to get an accommodation. Yeah.
How safe is it for the women or the girls in these areas or in these slums? How safe is it in terms of, did any of them mention that, they've been preyed on by men or, in that regard?
So I wouldn't say it's safe. Even in the report I did, you could tell that the lady I interviewed wanted to be anonymous.
Yes, she was showing us
Yes.
that.
She was scared of being attacked.
Victimized.
Yes, or victimized in case she's seen on TV. And so I had to protect her identity. And so I wouldn't say it's safe. Yes, women are vulnerable one way or the other in communities like that. So I wouldn't say it's safe. And you go there and you see children as little as 5 years roaming about,
They're not even going to school?
No.
How much do they earn in a day? Because then my next follow-up will be, can they earn something? Can they, whatever they earn, are they able to afford basic amenities or even sanitary pads?
No, they are not able to afford any of that because, again, the branch chairman told me that some of these basic facilities, they don't have them in the community. And so they have to outsource. And when you go to outsource, it becomes difficult for you to purchase a service or be able to pay for what you want to go and outsource when it comes to hospitals, schools, toilet and bath facilities and all of that. And so he was advocating that the slum be included in national agenda, in budgets, so that at the end of the day, some of these facilities would be established in the slum communities so that they wouldn't be left out. Yeah.
Wow.
How are they taking showers? You mentioned that there are no bathrooms, there are no toilets. How are they taking showers? How are they using the washroom or the toilets? Because I don't want to believe that they'll do it in a poly bag and then throw it. Oh, so there's a public one that they have to go and pay for.
Yes, yes. But it's not in a good state. It's not in a good state. They complain about it, and not everyone uses it. And so they all find an easy way to, convenience themselves one way or the other. So it's not everyone who uses the public ones. And when you go to the public ones, one way or the other, you would understand why they wouldn't want to use it,
Wow. And if you look at the report by the Ghana Statistical Service, it points to the fact that 1 out of every 3 Ghanaian in urban, centers are slum dwellers.
Yeah.
Global average is around 24%. Sub-Sahara Africa is 53%, and in Ghana it's 30.8%. That's quite significant. And like you rightly said, it's accommodation, or it's an accommodation problem that's fast becoming a public health concern. You just asked about access to menstrual health, and it's also becoming a security
issue,
and of course equity concerns, right? But I remember Sanda did a report last year or 2 years ago on the rapid rate at which slums are springing up in very posh areas. So for example, if you go to East Legon, everybody knows East Legon is the Beverly Hills of Ghana, right? But there's an active slum community there because these people there are workers for some of the big corporations you see, they serve as mates but you also can't neglect the fact that, like Manuel said, it seems we've neglected, and I feel like to a large extent, we need to have conversations with the Land Use and Spatial Planning Authority, LUSPA, what we usually used to call Town Council. I think Town and Country Planning, or Town Council and Country Planning, or something like that. Because they've allowed our spaces to be very poorly managed, that slums emerge from everywhere. And, the Works and Housing Ministry, we should be asking them questions because, what kind of they say they are building affordable houses. Then the affordable house, you see the price.
But when you speak to them, they throw it down to the local governments.
Yeah. So, yes, so of course, they should work in collaboration with the assembly.
This is the room that a lot of people say, wow.
It's about time, I was going to say that it's about time we relook how we treat the vulnerable in society. I remember there was a report some time ago that said that accommodation was provided to some of these people, but they couldn't stay in those places because the whole idea of paying electricity bills, they couldn't even afford it, right? So it's about time government is more deliberate in its approach with regards to helping the less privileged in society. And I think that we should go back to the conversation on the way we plan our cities, right? And urban centers. But Manuel, still with you, do you get a sense that delinquency in these areas appear to be high? I remember, I'm asking this because last month, the AMA embarked on an operation in a place they called Lucifer Town, where, apparently was a drug haven, and social vice haven. All manner of things were happening there. Do you get a sense that with where you went to in putting up this report, issues around crime, drug abuse, and the likes, theft and all of that, do you get a sense that a lot of those things were happening in those areas?
So because I had limited time to put this report together, I couldn't feature everything in there. There was this guy I spoke to, and you could tell that he was addicted to drugs. And for him, it was because he didn't have any job to do. And so that was his way of, I don't know, seeking...
Whiling away time.
I can't tell. And it was sad. And he made a funny comment that we don't have money, we need money to even get married and all that.
He's thinking about marriage?
Marriage. So children are exposed to these drug addicts or are exposed to illicit substances. It's there. Even if you're walking through the slum, you could sense some of these drugs. You don't need to even see it. You could sense it. Yeah, you can smell it and all that.
I hope you didn't get high.
And so you can tell. But that on the side, there are also very good individuals living in slums that the branch chairman was advocating that they shouldn't be stigmatized against. Some of them go to seek jobs and they tell them they are from Old Fadama and they end up not getting the job. They are being looked at in a certain way. So you see this stigma with slum dwellers as well, and that's also not fair.
You know an interesting thing, Jude? In the report, it says that fertility rates are higher in slums, particularly among women aged 15 to 49. So I'm looking at this area, and I'm wondering where, why, what time? How? Because if you're telling me that with a national slum fertility rate of 2.9 and it's in the northern region, it's 4.1. Where, how, what time?
In slum areas?
Yes, in slum areas, to be specific.
Because, Manuel is telling us that 50 of them are sleeping in the room. And I'm sure some of them have children.
Yes.
So do they do it in the... Of course you wouldn't know.
But did you ask them?
I didn't ask that.
Next time, please go and ask them.
Yes, I will.
But a question I want to find out, and I don't know if you asked any of the people you spoke to who live there, but do they want to go back from wherever they migrated from? Or do they prefer the life that they live here?
So up there are not a lot of opportunities for them to make the money they want. So here's it's a quick way for them to get the money. They do the kaya and in a day they make something and they're able to survive on it. So for going back is no option for them. But back on what you were saying, so it's like a cycle. So they end up, making children with the street individuals there. And so these children grow up, they live in the slum, and then they also,
Yeah, so the cycle continues.
It keeps repeating.
Yeah.
And it never ends.
I remember my mother's shop in Kumasi, so we had this young Kaya, very brilliant. Anytime someone comes to buy something, she doesn't even need a calculator. She'll just mention, oh, man, you say.
Experience.
She is so smart. So my mother's like, let me take you back to school so that, you can get out of this situation. Said no. She doesn't want to go back. Now, when she goes back to her town, her friends always come back with these nice cooking pots and cloths. And that's why she came down to Kumasi, because she also wants to be able to take those things back and go home and get married. And it was a whole back and forth between her and my mother, and I came to speak him, but now she's a nurse. Because she finally agreed to go to school and continue, finish up her JHS, go to SS, and now she's a nurse. And anytime I see her, I feel so proud of her because she was smart.
May God bless you.
Auntie Safo?
Oh, your mom. I mean, not everybody will do that, right? You know, amazing. I was going to say that, see, government's a continuum, right? And it's important that when one administration starts something and we all agree that it's in the best interest of the country, whoever comes after in terms of steering the affairs of the nation should also take it as a priority and continue. Why am I saying this? MPP, Baumia goes to do National Kaya Empowerment Training Center. You know, I get the sense that everything in this country, to a large extent, gets very political. and seen in very partisan lenses, right? Seen through partisan lenses. But the point is that once we agree that it will help people in society, especially the vulnerable, I think we should put politics aside. Just May 2024, we launch it. And I've heard stories and reports in the media that the place has been abandoned. Can you imagine the good it would have been to society if we took it up seriously? This administration continued to support it. You know, we'll be training Kayaye, you know, in different things, and, you know, their standard of living will improve, their conditions will change. There's a story about this Kayaye girl who went to school in the US, a very popular girl, and she's an advocate for headquarters, right? So I think that this government should not say, on the face of political expediency, push it because it's a legacy of a former administration, right? And they should, you know, go back to it, you know.
And one funny thing, they told me that during election time, the politicians bring buses there to pick them up.
Look at that. I mean, how?
Polling stations, you know, to go and
so
vote.
you see them as objects,
exactly,
you know, to enhance a political agenda, but not necessarily their welfare. And I think it's repulsive, you know. So, Charlie, I don't know, maybe the local assembly, right? Like I said, the Land Use and Spatial Plan Authority, they have a role to play in ensuring that slums don't just spring up because, of course, it has its downside in terms of delinquency issues, social vices. But the people who are already in existing ones, government should do better in terms of, you know,
upgrade them, give them the basic facilities, toilets.
It's important.
Baths,
it's
schools,
important. It's important.
And all that.
It's important. Yeah. Wow. But what's the business of the slums like? I see a lot of petty trading going on, stores.
Yes, makeshifts and all that. So it's a community, and so you would expect them to do business amongst themselves and all that. But in the business, you also see the illicit substances, which is also not a good thing. And so the business is really booming there. It's within the community, and so they make what they need to make.
Amazing. I don't know if you have anything to say. You know, in the Ashanti region where you come from, is the area with, or the region with the highest, you know, slum communities, right? So I think your average is around 51.3 or something, closely followed by the Greater Accra region, right? And I think the OT region also has, you know, and I think some parts of the Northern region.
So you get to
and the northern parts too.
It's unfortunate that this is happening in this day and age. I think the report mentions that there are fewer urban areas.
Yes.
10% of urban areas of Ghana's localities are officially urban. Yet 34.1% of neighborhoods and 26.6% of localities meet slum criteria.
So you can think of parts of Legon, parts of cantonments being a slum. Because of the typical wooden structure we are all used to, that there's a slum, but because they lack they are facing slum conditions.
They lack the decency, in living, you know, right? The fact that they don't even have like proper facilities for washrooms and all of that. The children there, do they go to school?
No, most of them don't. And again, the branch chairman said that it was because they don't have a localized school. The schools around them are all private. They can't afford them. And so what can you do?
So there are no public schools in Fadama?
There should be.
There should be. There should be a public school.
Had they tried to enroll the kids? Or school fees?
So, yes, school fees. So most of them
Government
are
school
not
is
going
free,
to school.
So
Isn't
government school
it
is free. So I'm not
basic
sure about
education?
Or
that has
wow.
been.
Even though it's free, you know, aside from the free as in you paying school fees,
You have to buy certain
certain
buy
things, so they can't
credits and all
afford
that.
all those things. So if I can't afford, why should I
Bother.
bother?
What was their number one plea to government? You know, when you spoke to the branch chairman, what did he say they want government to do for them?
So, an upgrade. So they should be included in national planning. You don't even hear that there's a school being built in a slum or a hospital.
Yeah,
so
but you know, that's the point, right? Their very existence is illegal.
Illegal.
So, you know,
so the argument they make is that they've been here since. So if
but they can't. The point is that they can't continue to be there like that. I would have said that maybe they should plead for like some kind of affordable housing, where government also tries to provide some jobs where they could do, and now over time they pay for it. Something, but you can't say you want to continue to. That would be endorsing an illegality, and it will give rise to the increase of it in other spaces.
Yeah.
Of course, the approach is that government should clear it because it creates other problems. But the point too is that if you clear them without a ready plan, it's like trying to solve one problem, but even creating a probably bigger one. So I don't know. I think all of us need to come together, right? So the head of the civil service, Dr. Agridakun, is spoken a lot about this. Academia, government, development partners. Let's sit together to see how. I don't think we can completely eradicate the idea of slums. Elsewhere in even more developed societies,
they have their own.
So it will be a wishful thinking to say that we can rid Accra or Kumasi of slums. It won't happen. But we can reduce the indignity, that happened there. And government has a lot of priorities, but I hope that they're also able to prioritize, the concerns of some of these things. At the very least, they can begin by putting in place decent washrooms, while a more stable long-term plan is sought for them.
And there's this call to private companies or institutions to also explore their CSR activities in slum communities and also help them with these basic amenities as well.
Yeah. I think United Way Ghana, they've been doing some work, in that regard. So we'll see how that goes. But Mano, it's been a pleasure. Yeah. Is there any other thing you wanted to touch on that we've not spoken about?
I think I've touched on everything. Yes, but I did this with Patricia, so if she's watching or wherever she is.
Patricia watching.
Kudos, right? Boating.
Yeah,
kudos to us.
She be big one. she did form,
I think you are mistaking her for.
No, I know who I'm talking about. I saw in the report. There are two Patricias in the issue. There's Patricia Boache and Patricia Boating.
Boache is
online,
yeah.
and Boating is the one who did the report. Yeah, I'm really well aware. You want me to say something, but I won't say it. But yeah, Charlie, kudos on this report.
Good job.
Good job. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I wish I had the creative, I have some style.
When I saw this report and I saw the inside of the room, I'm like, wow, if it had been me who had entered and come out, I'd have gotten a cold. My nose is very, very, very sensitive.
The heat's in that room.
I can only imagine.
You are a DB, so...
it's not a matter of DB.
Charlie,
it's not a matter of DB. Even smoke gives me, allergies and all of that.
Your whole life you've been insulated from it.
I have not been insulated from anything. Who has been insulated from smoke?
If you stay in Kaneshi, you will know how to adjust. In fact, your body would assimilate, so it's fine.
But
thank you so much.
You guys have done a good job.
I pray for the grace, your storytelling grace.
Amen.
No, for me.
I
want to be able to tell the stories like you are doing.
Yeah,
so
you're
proud
doing
of
a
it.
good job.
Thank you
very
much.
Continue.
Thank you.
Yes, so that's what time will allow us for our focus today on slums. It doesn't really make for good reading pleasure seeing that 30.7% of Ghanaians are slum dwellers. If you want to look at it in a more clearer picture, 1 out of every 3 Ghanaian, in urban centers are slum dwellers. The global average is around 23%. In sub-Saharan Africa, is around 54%. So it means that we are doing better compared to other African countries, but 30% is still very high, and we are urging government to pay attention to them. You know, they say they are resetting the country. The reset should also, you know, involve deliberately looking out for the vulnerable in society. We believe that would help in a more inclusive and a more prosperous society for all. We'll take a quick break. When we are back, there's a lot more right here on Sunday Breakfast. Don't go away.